part one of Team SHI. We're going to start introducing everyone to our creative teams, and we're going to go with we're going to walk people through the process of of the very first SHI crowdfunded campaign, our dual campaign. And why don't we get right to it, because Twitter is not Twitter, Skype is acting quite wonky this evening, isn't it?
Greetings.
Good to see you guys, and everyone out there in TV land. Good to see you guys. I have some interesting news, if I may.
You may.
I just did the tally of our dual Indiegogo and Kickstarter campaigns. Kickstarter launched first, and we are right now on Indiegogo. And I got a text from Ethan that he wants to beat the Kickstarter numbers. So I'll be going back on his show. Probably with Aaron Lopresti, and
Nice.
right now, the Return of the Warrior on Indiegogo is at $25,965. Yeah, almost $26,000. And on Kickstarter, we are now at $39,017, giving
Awesome.
us a grand total just over the 5-day mark of $64,982. We are $8 away. I'm sorry, we are we are $12 away from $65,000.
Wow, Billy, that is a testament to you, to what you did for 25 years, to the loyalty of your fans, to the great energy that you put out there into social media universe, the inclusiveness that you put out there. It's no surprise to me. It's truly no surprise to me. I'm happy to see you continually validated, and certainly by this process.
Well, thank you. Even Dan Madigan, who's giving us this
an Irish Italian.
Oh, great. They're the worst kind. Now,
Yeah.
And Niall, if I may, I went on someone sent me this link to a website called KickTrack.
Yes.
And I don't know how that's possible, but KickTrack has this trending, and it's over a half hour old, so it's a little bit behind. But if I go into the favorites on my, let me open up our KickTrack for SHI Return of the Warrior, which was updated. It was updated 35 minutes ago. Has us trending at the end of our campaign of our 17 days left. 17 days, 1 hour and 12 minutes left. They're looking at quite possibly that SHI Return of the Warrior could bring in $148,864. That would be, oh my God, would that be nice?
That would be a little bit of all right.
That would be a little bit of all right. So anyway,
because SHI Return of the Warrior needs to get out there to everybody, and I think that's, there's a statistic that if a publisher is defined by the entity that funds the publication of a book, then Kickstarter is like the 6th biggest publisher in the world. And so if you guys, if the fans fund the publishing of Return of the Warrior, then it's going to get out there in the biggest way possible. The more we make, it's going to make the sort of impact Billy made himself back in 1994.
94
when he launched it and self-published and created Crusade Comics, and doing it on Kickstarter, just a new form of saying, screw it, I'm putting this book out there the way I want it, without anybody overseeing it, and with the fans saying, yes, I trust Billy, and that's what's going to happen. And the more we make, the bigger it'll get out there in a bigger and bigger way, and that's the way SHI deserves to get out there.
Right, and it also will help us actually start to go right into SHI Hotaru, and just go right into that book. And
I thought you were going to say it'll help us go into SHI hotels. I'm like, wow, we're building hotels named after SHI. That's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, the Death Hotel, micro hotel.
I don't think I can see a dearth of Asian customers for that.
Yeah. Do you want to tell
said, I have a question I wanted to ask Steve, and that's, you and Billy have been friends for a really long time. But when was the first time you saw She? Were you already in LA when he published the first one?
Yes, I've been living in Los Angeles since 1991, and Billy and we have been best friends since junior high school, 7th grade.
Yeah.
We lost touch as college happened. He went off his way, I went off my way. We bumped into each other on the Long Island Railroad. He told me some story about partying with Treat Williams, I think, once.
Yeah, that's right.
Back when Billy had a mall. Bumped into each other on the Long Island Railroad, and then I was out here, and then suddenly there was a sensation, and Billy Tucci was a She, and there I was back in 94, 95, coming to visit who I thought was my dear friend Billy Tucci, and I go to the table there at San Diego Comic-Con. I was like, Billy, remember me? I'm your pal Steve. And he's like, I'm very busy over here. You see, we have more people here than the Batman and Superman tables. What do you? He had no time for me in 94, 95.
How dare you? So here's the real story, is that when I found out that Steve was there, and you were working with Troma Films at the time, weren't you?
I wasn't working with them so much as slaving for him. Yeah, Lloyd Kaufman. Yeah. He had hired me to write. He actually was working with Stan Lee. This is when Stan Lee couldn't get anyone in Hollywood. He couldn't get anyone. We're talking about. Yeah, mid-90s. This is before Spider-Man changed everything. And Lloyd Kaufman had a deal with Stan Lee to do some, Toxic Avenger had done well. He's like, why don't we do stuff like this? And then I'll make the movies, you publish the comics. And Stan was like, sure. So Stan Lee came up with a character called Congressman. and it was the nebbishy little guy who somewhere from the Midwest, literally a dust bowl town, literally nothing but dust just twirling around everywhere, who's just a pawn of big business and pawn. It's basically like a Mr. Smith Goes to Washington sort of Frank Capra story of this little guy who's just elected as a stooge. But I forget, it's been so long. He becomes imbued by some sort of superhero power and becomes Congressman, which is sort of like, imagine the Hulk dressed as Paul Revere in like a 1776 thing with a hat and an eagle on his shoulder, and he becomes this superhero that is just this all-American superhero. And as I was writing it, apparently things started to go Stan Lee's way in life and possibly in movies. And he said to Lloyd Kaufman, on second thought, I can't say Stanley did not read my script or reject it or anything. He didn't get that far. Apparently the Troma Marvel cross-pollination, went the way of things. But it was a fun experience working with Lloyd Kaufman for sure.
Went the way of the dodo. So we're going to introduce you guys. This is a few weeks coming, and scheduling wise and launching the campaign and all, is that Stephen is my co-writer. We are co-writers on the Return of the Warrior storyline. It opened up. How it started was that I had actually called Steve, and I was running some story points by him, some ideas I had, and then he just started to run with it. He started running with asking me all kinds of questions and a character exploration that I hadn't even thought about. I had mentioned a certain character. He goes, well, what about that? When you had mentioned so-and-so, and we don't want to give the story away. But he's like, well, what about so-and-so that, you brought this up, but wouldn't it be interesting if you had this, sort of this happen to this character and bring this character in on this scene? And it was such a fun conversation, right, Steve? I mean, it was so great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
you guys went over an hour on that, didn't you?
It was more than that. It was like 90 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we talked quite a bit, and what I found, and I had the confidence to talk with Billy about this because my background is in film and TV and theater, and I was always applying that. JC, a phenomenal writer, a phenomenal editor, worked with me on my first film, which is out now, Stoker and Wells' Order of the Golden Dawn, and I found applying, storytelling, 3-act story, beginning, middle, and end. It goes back 400 BC to Aristotle and TV, your favorite TV episodes, movies, and also to graphic novels. So the more I was sort of applying classic rules of storytelling and talking to Billy and bringing that into all these beautiful ideas that Billy has innately in his imagination, It was just we were just having a great time making this story sing, not only from SHI's point of view, from Anna's, Anna Ishikawa's point of view, but from the point of view of the villains, the point of view of all the characters. What are all their stories, and how do they all add up to some beautiful graphic novel that just is intense, entertaining, worthy of SHI's and Anna's return, and yet stands on its own as a really cool story that feels satisfying, yet commands you to want to read the next book. And that's really what we were doing. Would you agree, Billy?
Yeah, I think so. And it was so much fun, and that was the best part. And I was talking about that on EVS's stream last night, of the lack of fun in comics.
Right.
Right, Jeff? I mean, we had this discussion.
Yeah, I think one of the things about that, and you guys were really talking about it last night. I listened to a good bit of the show, and I really think that you want to be more sophisticated and more analytical, as Steve has just demonstrated about traditional storytelling being applied to what we're doing. But at the same time, the one thing that comics can give you is, we'll put on a show, and you jump in and you can come together pretty quickly. Our development curve, it doesn't have to be, but it can be substantially less than the other media, because if we've got this opportunity to come to places like Kickstarter or Indiegogo and come out and get people to sign on basically to help us. And it creates all these opportunities. And I think it was really, for me, it was really neat to see Steve playing writer-director on Stoker and Wells, because he clearly had his vision of that, and Barry Orkin found a very willing accomplice who was, he had pages that he definitely wanted to try a certain way, but in the end, he would come back and do it the way that Steve wanted to. And to me, that's the fun part of this, where you get collaborative like that.
Yeah.
And you go back to my Vampire PA trade paperback, the collaborations are even different than I ever expected, because quite frankly, the Kickstarter for that, I don't think it would have gone if Niall hadn't gone crazy and supported it everywhere and got the message out and put it in all these different chat groups and stuff like that. And that was something I never expected. I think I would have failed at it, but he got it to the right audience. So that's a collaboration that you're not expecting, and that's the fun stuff about this thing.
Yeah, I'm watching
Steve,
Billy, and Billy is doing.
Steve, no, I'm sorry. We got a horrible connection with Steve. That's his internet?
Yeah, yeah. So what's happening? It's the feed that's coming in from them. So, but there's there's issues with Skype right now. There's issues with Skype right now. It's going to do it no matter what.
Oh, okay.
Should I reconnect my Wi-Fi? Like go off, and that helps. Maybe hop on a different satellite or something.
Would that help, Niall? If
I
you
go
go off for a minute?
You can try it. Jeff's auto-scaling too. You're auto-scaling. It's just the system. I'm not auto-scaling because I've got a good connection where I am.
Yeah. It just seems to do that.
You guys, I'll hop off, and then I'll
just hop off and join back. Just join back in the conversation that we have, and you'll automatically appear in the window.
So I will Skype you. Yes, does that make sense? Because I don't know how to join a conversation.
At the top, you'll see our conversation. It's going to ask you to join because we'll be live. Just click join.
Okay. So is that on YouTube or on Skype?
It's
on Skype. Just go to Skype.
On Skype.
All right. Okay.
I restart and come back.
Go away and see what happens. All right. Bye-bye.
So we can talk about you.
Excellent. Talk about behind my back, please.
Behind your back. Is he gone?
Yeah, it's frozen now.
Yay, I'm not the only one who's been frozen.
He's the frozen director guy.
Oh, B, no, we have frozen Greek.
What's it? Oh, he's back.
He's back.
Am I back? How am I? Am I a better man for it? No, not really.
It's the same.
I
think it's just that there's an issue going on right now with Skype.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's outages. Skype runs like a telephone service. So, and that's how we're able to port into our software. You can't do that with other streaming platforms. So they run kind of like telephones. So if you have an area that's out, like if there's an outage area, it can affect what you're doing, and there is an outage area.
Yes, there is. Yep, there is. So, well, we apologize, but anywho, let's get back to the meat of it all. Okay, so Steven and I, what's he doing now?
I'm a very tiny man. Oh, now I'm back again. Okay, there we go.
He's killing us. You're killing us.
Just keep moving forward. You got his audio. It's fine.
Okay, we have your audio, Steve.
Okay, very good.
He'll fluctuate in and out. So let me ask you guys now, Steve. Let me ask you a question. So you're coming in SHI Return of the Warrior, right? And you're helping Billy write this story. Now, did you have to go back to right back to the beginning and catch up from the books of the past to try to help build up the story he was at, or were you able to just jump right in where Billy started?
Well, I'm jumping in, Billy. I am reviewing the stuff, all of where we've been. Or where the book has been. I'm doing that now, but this is a fairly contained story, and I have the best SHI educator there is, filling my ear with what I need to know in order to tell this story, and that's Billy. In the meantime, I am obviously looking over everything, but we talked a bunch in order to come up with enough for the ash can that he presented to his zombie sama pledge. His zombie backers, but no. At this point, it's my knowledge of SHI. I mean, I have 2 copies of issue number 1. I've been following SHI from the beginning, and refreshing myself now. But this story is very self-contained and it's very new. This is very much about SHI today going forward. So it's all about new influences in her life, as well as the past. And I'm helping to bring this sort of expand on what Billy has brought in as far as the new characters, new situations, and places she's in her life. That's all brand new, and Billy is bringing to me the primer of what's going on, what feeds her going forward. And we had a big conversation just yesterday about that, about where is Anna today? Where is she up here? Yep. About her relationship with who she was.
And that's what I really needed, because I needed a fresh face. I needed someone to give a perspective on where would she be, because Anna, the way Steven and I are going through this, she hasn't had a comic book in 15 years because she hasn't had to. She's had a nice, peaceful existence raising her daughter. She's got a stable life. Her warrior days are far behind her. And then it all comes back. And I love the idea, but because I am so married to this character that I created in 1990, to have someone to come in with this fresh look, someone that has never written SHI before, even though we did work on the screenplay, a few of the drafts of the screenplay for our film producer a few years back, and that's where a lot of the education came to Steve of SHI through that, or the history that he learned. And I love that and that's why he really unlocked a lot within me, because I think was living in 2004 when I first crafted this story and had an idea, and then Steve were 15 years removed of that, of me still being shackled by, in a way, with a whole new fresh perspective, and we had this marathon conversation, right? We were drinking scotch, we were smoking cigars, we were doing Skype.
We're still drinking scotch, Billy. I'm just drinking it out of a Stoker and Wells mug. Where's yours? There you go. So cheers.
My double cast glass that Debbie got me. I'm drinking a little Highland Park.
I think one of the things about what you're saying that's really true is that you intellectually know if one of your friends moves away. You intellectually know that they have continued to age, they have continued to have experiences and things like that. But until you get to see them, it is theoretical in your head. Right. And what Billy's saying is that he's remembering Anna as she was in the first 10 years of SHI, which was a lot of comics. Yeah. And then what they've done is really, it's not changing the character in an unnatural way. It's the most natural way, which is something we don't often see in comics, which is characters who age. Yeah. And I think what I did, my initial reactions to several character moments in the story was to make sure that they're not violating what we know before. They're not violating the universe. But at the same time, doing my best to stay out of the way of the new stuff that these guys are coming up with. And I think the advantage for me as an editor is I've edited both these guys before now, and I've also written SHI, and I'm a huge SHI fan since #1. So I hope that's what I'm bringing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had to go outside the box, Niall. I really felt I did, because I just needed it to be different. I wanted to be that someone who hadn't written SHI before. And Gary Cohn and I had a great conversation with Gary. As you know, Jeff's written a lot of SHI. Gary Cohn has written a lot of SHI.
And edited too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're both editors as well of SHI. So, and I was just trying to find something that really, I guess, also ignited a new passion in me. I think I was passionate about it to begin with, but and I love collaboration. And until you can let that go, and I think I've always done that, Jeff, right? I mean, I have never had a problem sharing SHI with other people.
No. I think we've discussed in the past that you may have been a little too kind.
Right.
But at the same time, you've been very collaborative about that. And I think that if you go back to Cyblade SHI or SHI Cyblade, there's some pretty great evidence of that. So.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. I just disappeared for some reason.
You're fine. Don't just ignore it, buddy.
Oh.
Just ignore it. Just keep talking and keep rocking and rolling. That's it.
It's sort of like Niall's the patient dad.
Yeah.
And I would love everyone out there to also, to hear the passion in Steve's voice as well. And I mean, and we're just rapid firing ideas, and it's so much fun. I mean, right, Steven? I mean, I'm having a ball working with you on this.
Oh yeah, no, we're having a good time. Yesterday I won't go into the details, but he's like, he left me a message. I got an idea. Whoa, what happened there? I got zoomed in on.
Just keep talking.
Whoa, hey, geez, look at me. Whoa, I feel like I'm a Macy's Day Parade float. But he's like, I had this idea. Give me a call. Then I call him. He's like, yeah, I gave this idea. It's not very good. I don't know. I ran it by Debbie. It's not very good. He tells the idea, but expression when you're getting notes in film and TV is people pitch you ideas, and then you say, well, yeah, just because you may not like the specific idea, there's what they call the note behind the note. And what Billy was picking up on is we were missing something. He had an idea about where it should go, and Debbie rightly responded to the idea that she did not like that idea. But the more I heard Billy talk about it and I said, no, your instinct is right. There is a problem spot. Let's talk about the right solution. And then we actually came up with the real solutions on the phone. And it all started with Billy realizing something's not right about something I'm doing with this story. But it's good. It's actually, and we forgot, we actually are good writing partners. We pitched, flown adjusted by the City of Angels, and gone out and pitched movies and TV shows. And big studio, close on a bunch. But we're actually very good working together and very egoless. We see the thing as what we're both, like a child, we're both servicing, and we don't really have any kind of quarrels or issues with each other. We just want to better the idea and the thing. So we're doing that now with this book.
And what's fun about that, Steve, too, is that when you say that we don't quarrel or, we just want what's best for it, and we don't, because I've had, writing collaborations or worked with friends on things and how we can get heated and stuff like that. And we don't have it because we do both want, and we recognize it. And maybe because we're a little older now, you do recognize, well, what's the best thing for this story? Mm-hmm. What is best for this story? Where is this character? And Stephen had brought this out, that when I came up with the idea for SHI and how it started developing, and Stephen, rightly so, came up and said, you know what? Anna Ishikawa is the most uninteresting character in this entire story, right now. And this is, and because we'd done so much, we wanted to build up Hotaru and Yoshi Tora, and this and Dr. Blevins now, who comes in, and even Joe LaBianca the cop, and we're working on all this character.
And Arashi as well.
Yes, and especially Arashi. And then he's like, you know what? Well, what about the title character? Mm-hmm. The one that everyone's buying this book for, the one that everyone loved. And that was great, because that was like that, right? I mean, It was just, it lit open, and we went with it, and it literally was like the floodgates opened and everything, right? Everything just started coming in, and it started getting easier and easier the more we talked about it.
Yeah, totally.
What do you guys have, like, a moment that something was really funny in your collaboration, whether it was just in that moment? Because I know the first time I worked with Billy, I had something really funny happen, but I wondered if you guys
well, what was yours, to give an example? Because I'm trying to.
Sure. Okay. Well, you remember in all seriousness and all humility, my first big break doing a high circulation comic was SHI #1. Yeah. And you had called me on the Friday, and you'd just finished a mini series, and I don't remember what the mini series before that one was.
Oh yeah.
And he says, I'm going to start SHI on Monday, and I go, "Oh, you usually send me your scripts. What happened?" And he goes, "Well, I haven't written it yet. I'm just going to wing it."
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Billy, it sucks when you wing it."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, what am I going to do?" I go, "Tell me the story. I'll have you 5 pages of script by Monday morning, and I'll stay ahead of you."
Right.
And so I give him, like, page 1 is 3 horizontal panels, one of which is black. Page 2 and 3 is a 2-page spread. So I'm making him catch up to the schedule.
Right.
And he gets a little later in the book, and I get this phone call, and he says, "I don't do 9-panel pages."
Yeah.
And I said, "You do now." Like it was my book or something, right? And it was just, my whole thing was that part of what you have to do as a writer, or a writer artist, if you're that talented, is you have to slow the reader down somehow if you've got pages that they go fast on, because they've spent money for this thing, and you don't want it to be a 10-second read.
Yeah.
Right.
And Billy patiently, I mean, if I really said it was like it was my property, and Billy just really kindly listened to me and did it. And it was a great page.
I didn't have a choice. Because you literally said you do now. And I've always been like that with SHI. I'm like, okay, this is right. This is a great page. And you're right. It helps the story. It's perfect for the story. And you just got to do it. And so that was fun. That was fun. Steve, I got a little carried away with the idea that we have a scene where Anna puts on the costume once again for the first time. And it's a very traumatic scene, right? It really is. And I'm going off on a tangent, being Billy, if you guys have watched the 74 of our shows that we've had. And I'm like, oh my God, how fun would it be that she can't put the costume on? Like, she's like, what was I thinking? And trying to get a leg in it. And Steve's like, all right, slow down. I want to put this costume on. This is very traumatic for her. This costume has been buried in the armoire that is in the basement, blocked with all kinds of furniture, and she has to go through it to get to it in order to literally to stop Arashi. And I'm like, yeah, but how funny would it be that she's put it on? He's like, yeah, that is funny, Billy, right? And I realized that I was fastly becoming the kid brother that Steve never wanted. Even though
this is interesting, because in movies we talk about tone, in television we talk about tone, and I'm wondering, as I am new to graphic novels, Stoker and Wells is my first graphic novel, and how often do you guys talk about tone? Where is this a dark book? Is this a funny book? Is it a fusion? When do you bring the humor into the dark story? Is this part of the vocabulary? Is figuring out who is this for and what audience is this for? Because obviously in the world of graphic novels, there's everything from things aimed at little kids to things aimed at adult and dark and R-rated if there was to be a movie rating on it. So, is that part of the discussion, you guys?
It is. I mean, tone. The tone thing about tone to me is mood. Tone representing mood. Mm-hmm. Mood is easier to insult than intelligence. You can go really astray, and what you guys just were describing with Billy and the costume there, it would have been disruptive to the spirit of what you guys were doing. Mm-hmm. The rest of the time, I'm not saying that scene by itself wouldn't have been funny,
right?
And I'm also I'm a person in both in writing and in my life. I tend to use humor at the darkest moments.
Yeah. And people love that. I mean, you're sitting in a theater, right? And things get so tense. And I love tension.
Sure.
I mean, everyone loves tension. I think a good writer writes tension, right? I mean, it's not violence. Anyone could write violence, but if you could write tension, you know what I mean? Building up to that violence, and then and people get it, and you know, it could bring you down, or you get emotionally involved, and then something like a little funny thing happens. You know, like something funny to break that tension, I guess, momentarily, but it also takes the reader away from what's so tense about, and then you hit him again with it. You know what I mean? Then you hit him with it, like, you know, then you hit him with the violence, say, or something. And that's what I love. That's the like all great writers. I mean, Chandler's great at that. You know, Raymond Chandler.
Look, I mean, as a filmmaker, Alfred Hitchcock, who's you know, that he was a master of tension, and then relieve it with humor to disorient you, and then bring back tension, for sure. I mean, you name the film, he did it. Whether it was Psycho or The Birds or Strangers on a Train, there's intense suspense or tension, and then a moment of humor, but it's very well calibrated and orchestrated, you know, to do exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, think of Jaws. You know what I mean? I mean, Jaws is great at that.
Yeah, I remember being in a theater with Billy. He laughed his ass off when that little boy was eaten. He just thought that was the funniest thing. Wait a minute, you're a terrible person. When Mrs. Kintner slaps Chief Brody, Billy was cracking up in the theater. He was the only one. He was the only one laughing. But boy, did he find it funny.
Do you guys ever have totally an aside? But do you ever have that minute where you're the one laughing the loudest in the theater, and you can all of a sudden you hear it, and then you can't stop?
Yeah.
It's a great scene in Accidental Tourist, where he's pulling in on, where he's pushing in on William Hurt, and he says, "I don't like the movies. Everything's too close up." And it's coming in, and I was with some people who were not particularly students of film. They just were there for a movie.
Right.
I couldn't stop laughing, man. It just killed. It's not that funny, and it just killed me.
Yeah. I think so highly of myself that when those moments happen, I don't think, oh, I'm embarrassed. I think, I'm the only one who gets it. Yeah, that's it.
Sure. Well, I got a funny story that one of my wife's best friends, her husband, they went to go see Gran Torino in Greenwich Village at a theater. And her husband is a financial guy, and he's an awesome guy, regular, you know, ordinary, normal, you know, normie, regular guy, and he couldn't stop laughing at all the things, these things that Clint Eastwood was saying, and he just couldn't control himself. And she said she had never been more embarrassed in her life. That people were turning around and just glare like you know, matronly women, you know what I mean? Like, how dare you? When he's saying the things like, oh my God, you know, click, clack, ding dong, and Charlie Chan here. And he's telling me, and I start laughing when he's telling us a story. And then my wife hits me. She hit me. And I'm like, no, I could just see, you know, how surreal that scene must have been in a theater in Greenwich Village watching Gran Torino when it first opens up. And here's this dude sitting in the middle of the theater, like trying uncontrollably not to laugh when his wife is pinching him and digging her nails in his arms and stuff. And I love that. I just thought that was great. So, yes.
Well, movies do play differently in theater, and people doing live theater, like, oh, bad audience tonight, good audience tonight. Maybe it was us. But movies are unchangeable. They are the exact same thing no matter where it's projected. And I remember when I first came to when I came to LA, I remember going to see this movie called The Player. And it is a great satire, spoof, send-up of Hollywood, but it's couched in a thriller, a murder thriller where a guy's trying to cover up a crime and so forth. Well, I went to see it in the middle of the day in Los Angeles on a weekday, which means the whole audience was filled with out-of-work people in the entertainment industry. So therefore, they got every joke. You're sitting in that theater watching The Player, and you might as well have been sitting and watching Airplane. I mean, laughter, people laughing their asses off, everything. And then it was around the holidays or something. I went back to Long Island to visit family, and the player was in the movie theater. I went to see it, and it was like crickets. Not that they weren't enjoying it; they were just watching it as a thriller. They were just watching it as a story about about an executive who accidentally kills a guy who's trying to cover up his crime, but they're not laughing at anything because they don't. None of these jokes are landing.
When they get to that bit about, do we really need writers?
Yes, I mean,
I just was dying, man.
Oh my God, people!
And I was in the middle of Hearst, Texas, so I was the only one.
Oh yeah, I mean, you see it in L.A. and the guy says when he yells at the executive, he says, "I can write. What can you do?" And the whole audience, like, practically standing ovation at that line. And you watch it on Long Island, and people are just like, "Yeah." I mean, I don't fault them for it. It's just it's so interesting how movies play differently.
The guy in Long Island's like, well, I could fry a donut. What can you do? Can you fry a donut? No, that's...
So
anyway,
that's an actual line from SHI: Return of the Warrior.
Yes.
We don't want to. No spoilers, JC.
No spoilers. It's actually a question, right? Oh no, it's not. It's. Oh no, you're right. Okay. Stephen, did you feel the same way? Now, speaking of, like, I'm a big Tarantino fan. And being in LA and being in the film industry for the past, 27 years or so.
I'm 27. I'm 27 years old. What are you talking about? I haven't been here that long.
Right. As a mere lark when you headed over to Hollywood as this
Enfant terrible.
Yeah.
Enfant terrible.
Well done. With the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, did that have the same reception? Because apparently, like, a lot of the reviews talk about that. It is very LA-centric, obviously. But did people remember that time? Did people get it? Did you have any kind of connection to that? Like,
look, I'm a huge, Hollywood history buff, and I love the whole legacy of just Los Angeles. I've lived here for over 2 decades, so I love this city. I live in Hollywood. I'm broadcasting from Hollywood right now, not a stone's throw from Grauman's Chinese Theater. And so, yeah, I mean, I was here when they were shooting, not in my apartment, but I know that they shot, where they shot were yards from my front door. So I've always loved it. I did wonder when I watched it, I was very, I won't say surprised that the film it's Tarantino's biggest moneymaker. Even when I sat in the theater, I was like, does this really play outside of Los Angeles? Do people actually care about this story and the storytelling? And I've still not really had major discussions with people outside of LA or outside of the entertainment industry about watching the movie. So what's been your experience? You three gentlemen, either having seen it, you guys are connected to the entertainment industry, but in speaking with people, quote unquote, laymen who are not in it, do people do they go to see it and go, what the hell was that all about? But that was just this really long, inflated movie with Brad Pitt driving around in a car forever. I mean, or did they actually do you know people who've liked the film very much?
I've only heard positive things about the film.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen it? No.
I've got to say that I haven't. I'm realizing the efficacy of your question, because I don't think I've talked to many people outside of some form of entertainment about it. The few guys I've talked to were, longtime Tarantino fans, and I think that's maybe a separate group there or a subgroup or something.
Right.
But I guess I haven't talked to many people about it other than that.
Personally, I think it's one of the best films I've seen ever. Maybe not one of the best films, but I think one of the best.
Maybe one of the films you've seen.
No, yeah, one of the films, but a film experience. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the slow burn, and the ending. The ending really was unbelievable. And Old Bean, let me know if you think if this holds true with you too. There are a lot of comics, a lot of mainstream comics, event comics, if you will, event storylines, not event comics, Jimmy Palmiotti's company, but that they had this great build up and there's a petered out ending, a disappointing ending.
Well, one of the things we talk about, and you hear a lot of people in the film business, particularly, speaking in many cases wishfully, that there's going to be comic book movie fatigue. And in comic books, we are regularly talking about event fatigue, because everything's this big event. And my answer is always the same. People are never going to be tired of a good novel. They're never going to be tired of a good video game. They're never going to be tired of a good TV show. They're never going to be tired of a good movie. They're just not. It doesn't matter what genre it is. The good defies genres.
Yeah.
Now, that said, we get tired of bad quicker the more exploitive we think it is. When you are forced to buy 27 different titles from one of the big publishers because you want to have the whole story of this big event, and none of it gives you any payoff,
right?
Then I don't know that that's event fatigue. That's bad comic book fatigue.
Right.
So I'm sort of sideways answering your question, I hope.
Well, I'm terrified of that. I really am. I mean, it's one of my great fears in comics is to be that. And you know, and a lot of times a lot of these guys or gals are very well known, and no one ever tells them, you know, that story really petered out. But we all talk about it.
You know, here's the thing. I'll go ahead and risk life and limb by saying this. I was a huge fan of Dark Knight Master Race, Frank Miller's return to Batman.
Okay.
I liked it almost as much, maybe even as much as I hated Dark Knight 2. Dark Knight Strikes Again. To me, that was a case. There was a period where Tom Clancy got there as a novelist. I actually believe that Stephen King has got there as a novelist once or twice. He gets out of it when he does. But where people are afraid to tell them, this isn't as good as your other stuff. And you know, it's on us as creators to be hungry enough to hear that from people. But that's a hard thing.
Yeah. But we're also professionals. You know, this is our livelihoods. If you can't take criticism, you know.
You're professional. I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, you're a
you need to take the criticism. It's the only way you can get better.
You're a comic book professional. You may not make a living as a comic book writer, professional as a living, but
you know. I always say that comic book writer is the saddest job in the whole world because there's not one of us that wouldn't rather draw if we were good enough.
Oh, really?
Brian Blevins asked if any of you guys have seen The Mandalorian.
Not yet.
I've seen a man and a DeLorean, but that's as far as I've got.
Yeah.
Thank you. Peros, have you seen it?
I keep thinking it's the malodorant, and I think it's someone who smells. I don't know what. No, I have not seen it. I don't have Disney Plus yet because Billy keeps saying he'll pay for my Disney Plus, and I just so I haven't watched anything yet. Billy, have you gotten Disney Plus yet?
No.
No? Oh,
I have to buy yours first because I promised to get it for you.
Sure.
So I'm hoping to have your phone up to your TV and I can watch it from.
All I know is I have a Samsung TV and I kept reading all over how Samsung strikes deal. They're going to have Disney Plus and all their smart TVs. I went to my smart TV menu. I did the reboot. Nothing. It's not there. It's not sitting there. It's not one of my choices. How am I going to fight for this? I'm not going to fight for this.
Right. Verizon's giving it away for free for a year if you have their unlimited plan.
What am I? I'm going to watch Lady and the Tramp on my phone.
No, you watch it on all your devices. It's a free subscription, not just on your phone. Come on.
All right. Okay.
God. These Hollywood guys, I don't know about these.
They don't know what they're talking about. That's the big. Just so you know, they don't know what they're talking about.
So let me ask you. I want for Billy and Steve now. With this new collaboration, I mean, how has the collaboration process been going? How are you guys collaborating?
Well, I mean, Billy created a central story document, and that's what he first shared with me, and obviously with JC as well. And that's what began our conversation. And I think my general MO has been to ask, because Billy is filled with great ideas, and sometimes collaborators do different things. And Billy is a great idea man, and so part of what I've been doing is bringing the craft I've honed of storytelling, because I not only do it in my own writing but I teach it. Is okay, this is great. You've created a great setting for She's Return and characters, and Billy's like, and a great scene would be this, and he's correct, and a great scene would be that, and he's correct, and a great scene. Okay, well now let's make sure that there is a clean story that's that's carrying all of this. And to me, I got Billy to talk a lot about his antagonists, his villains. What do they want? Because every story, you should be able to revisit the book after you read the end, and actually just reread the book purely from the point of view of the villain, of the enemy, of the antagonist, and that it makes sense. That you don't ever want, well, wait a minute, why would they have done that if what they were planning to do is this? Just because it would make a good scene? That's not good enough for you. So it was all about trying to take all of Billy's great ideas and create the best delivery platform. And Billy, who's been telling stories for as long as I have, recognized it. He was like, yes, exactly. So he was giving me great ingredients and allowing me to help him organize them. And that's sort of and then spitball new ideas, because to me, anybody who gets involved with Billy Tucci about SHI is a fool to not recognize Billy Tucci is SHI. He came up with SHI, he created SHI. So what you do is you sit there and go, okay, this is the expert in the room. This is the passion. This is where blank white paper grew into SHI. So let's hear what he has to say, and then try to not turn this apple into an orange, but try to make it the best apple that it can be. And that's really what it's been. I'm trying to service Billy's vision and better it. That's what you do when you're on staff in a writer's room on a TV show. Your job is to better it. If you're just criticizing or knocking it down, you're fired. Your idea is to better it and better it and better it. And that's what I'm just trying to do with Billy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's true too, because I have so much, and I've been thinking of a story, and Jeff, you know this, since the last time we published SHI, since Jun Yen, the Jun Yen story, and I've had stories. Well, let's do this, let's do that, and I have all these stories of this character in my head.
Was that really the last one? No kidding.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking a long time ago, buddy. The thing is that I have all these ideas in my head, and I just want to let them loose. But that made and scenes of these stories, because I have, when you write, you have these great scenes that you think of a story. And a lot of times with myself, a lot of stories or story arcs or something actually come out of a cool scene. I think, oh, that'd be cool to put her on a train, something like that, say. And I'm throwing these things in, and Steve's like, okay, that's interesting. But how does that propel the story? How does that get us to page, 44? And another thing I like about Steve, and I think it's with your training, Stephen, and Jeff too, the same thing, working with Jeff as an editor and Steve as a screenwriter, because you have to tell your script in so many pages, right?
Yeah.
Every page theoretically is a minute of screen time. With me, I'm like, oh, let's just do, we have 48 pages to tell the story. So let's just do this. And Stephen has a very economical way of telling a story.
Well, it's funny. I learned that in film and TV, but I got to say, I also learned it from this guy over here, because JC has helped me a lot in doing a first graphic novel, taking a 114-page screenplay and turning it into what I thought would be a 57-page graphic novel, wound up being a 94-page graphic novel. But JC has helped me enormously. In the first half of the book, teaching it to me, and then as he would review my pages, and then I would say, I think JC would agree, by the second half, I was self-editing, and then JC would give me further notes and help me. But I started to get the hang of what JC was doing as we got into the second half of the book. And then also just those key things, which is really wonderful, because I'm hearing consistent things about Stoker and Wells, that people keep turning the pages. This whole notion of, wow, this is a new format. It's so cool. It's not film. It's something where I turn a page and I'm looking at two pages. And what is going to compel me to turn the page? What is at the end of those odd numbers pages,
right,
that makes me turn the page and keeps turning and keeps turning? And I keep hearing from disparate people who continually tell me how much they kept turning the pages on Stoker and Wells. And that's part of all I learned. Thanks to Jeff and you as well, Billy, on doing it. So I'm just trying to reapply it to you. Economy clearly is important when you have a certain page count.
It's nice though. What I like about it, and Jeff, I'm sure maybe you could chime in on this, is that it's also very fresh for Steve. It's new for Steve.
Yeah,
we've written lots of scripts. Not like comic book scripts, right, Jeff?
Yeah, I think there's absolutely true to that, and. Just like anybody else that takes to a particular form, Just like if you know your screenplay, you know you're going to be about 120 pages, somewhere in that realm. Those are your fence posts. You can do anything in your craft between those fence posts. Well, you know that you want to do a 48-page graphic novel. That's what your budget is for. You've got to pay for art. You've got to pay for colors, all this kind of stuff like that. And those are your fence posts. So you know that the flip side of this is that if you want to put in a 2-page splash, you've just eaten up a huge chunk of your real estate.
Yeah.
It better be worth it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the other side of this is that as we were doing our first run through of Steve's script for the Stoker and Wells, one of the things that became very apparent to me in trying to fit all of his story in there was when somebody writes good dialogue, it's brutal to cut it, man. It was one of the hardest experiences I've ever had. But as he was saying, that by the second half of the book, he absolutely got the transition live action versus comics in a way that a lot of people never do. I know we, particularly in the era in which we're living, the big two and many other people tout when they've got a screenwriter writing the comic.
Yeah.
And there are some. Valiant had one called Secret Weapons that was just awesome. But so many of these things, the people try and trample the form because of who they are. Steve went after it as telling a story.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, I'm interested in what you guys have to think. One of the great teachers of screenwriting is a guy named Sid Field, that he didn't tell anything. He basically regurgitated stuff that was clearly obvious, which was the best movies are told in 3 acts, and they're not 3 equal lengths. The first act is about 25%, second act is about 50%, third act is about another 25%. And the idea is you spend 25% of your screen time giving the audience a reason to stick around for the other 75. And do you, in comic, and now this is a different discipline, do you find that people give a book about 25% of its time before they're going to check in or out, decide, yeah, I'm into this book, or I'm not going to read any further? Like, how far are they willing? Do you find people are willing to get into a book before they decide I'm in or I'm out?
Yeah, I think there's a really good analogy there between film and comics when it comes to graphic novels. I think when you talk, somebody walks into a store and they're browsing and they start flipping through something, they the hell is that?
Oh, baby monitor.
Sorry
about that.
It's my stomach.
I thought this was our supernatural episode.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I expected
my wife had a late meeting.
Backwards.
So, yeah, my wife had a late meeting, so I had to bring the monitor into the studio.
But what I was saying is that I think your timing is different when you're talking about individual issues, Steve.
Right.
Where you're talking about something, whether it is intentionally serialized or somebody just ends up writing themselves an epic that way, just issue by issue, and then collectively it becomes something bigger. I think that there's different tests, but I think you look at for how long it takes something to grab you. I think people's instinct is pretty good, whether they could explain it or not, the way that we're explaining it. I think that's part of the equation.
Right.
Now, speaking of Stoker and Wells, do we have a video, Niall?
We do have a video.
May I set it up for a second, Niall?
Yes.
So, our book came out in October. I'm happy to say that we had a great launch event here in Hollywood, hosted by the American Cinematheque at the Egyptian Theater. We showed, Stoker and Wells, for those who are watching who don't know, is about what if a 20-something H.G. Wells and a 40-something Bram Stoker met and had an adventure that led to both men's first great work, The Time Machine and Dracula. And so the American Cinematheque at the Historic Egyptian Theater hosted a screening we had a book signing, and then we had a Q&A, and Barry Orkin flew into Los Angeles, so we had a great time. And we screened Hammer Films with Horror of Dracula with Christopher Lee, beautiful 35mm Technicolor print, followed by George Pal's The Time Machine. And so we had a great launch. We had one. We've had so far, knockwood, unanimously great reviews in LA Weekly, Comics Beat, Dark Media. Here we go, and First Comics Daily. So we've had some really, really great notices. And Con TV, which is run by Eric Opica at Cinedigm, a great streaming service for stuff related to fans of comic book conventions and so forth. They sci-fi, superhero stuff, horror. He is sort of a friend of the family. He is my wonderful girlfriend's cousin's husband. And he read the book, he was at the event, and he volunteered. He said, well, we'd love to let's run a promo on Con TV. He said, send me the book, and I'll have my people put together a great 15-second spot. And so I was just blown away by this spot. We just locked it, and it debuts here tonight on, what the hell is this show called? Yes,
Crowdfunding
Comics with Niall Scala and Billy Tucci. And here we go. Called. Got some audio. What's happening?
I like the sound effects on that.
Yeah. To the point. To the point. Perfect.
Now this is on Amazon now, right? And then coming to Comixology.
Yes. We are on Amazon, both obviously the hardcover and the Kindle. That's right. The paperback,
hard copy, not hardcover.
No, the paperback and the Kindle are both on Amazon right now as we speak. It has been it is in the process of being approved by Comixology. Obviously, everything has been done to submit it, but it's going to take. They have a long lag time before books are actually live, and so they were kind enough. So that's why our call to action at the end is available now on Amazon and coming soon to Comixology. Once we're actually officially live on Comixology, we will swap that out for available now on both in both platforms. But yeah, we're really excited. We think they really did a lovely job with that for us, and they believe in us, and we're really a part of our whole team. JC and myself and Barry Orkin, we're just really grateful to put that together, because that's a spot that would have cost us an inordinate amount of money to actually have made and to broadcast. So starting next week, it's going to go out to a whole bunch of people. So we're real thrilled about that.
Oh, fantastic! And I just plugged I put the link to the Amazon page for Stoker and Wells. If anyone's interested in getting a copy, the link's in the chat.
Oh, terrific! Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and I'll take 10%.
And you mean from JC's end, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Whichever. And JC, you've got some things as well, correct?
I do.
What did you just have come out?
Well, just last Wednesday we had the Overstreet Price Guide to Batman, which is our first character-specific book that we've done. It is it is all of our comic pricing about Batman. It is also a photo journal. We've got the first three, little less than 300 issues of Detective Comics and Batman also. And they're all pictured and priced. We've got prices on the movie posters and many other Batman-type items. We've got articles about collecting Batman with some people who very passionately collect Batman. And we've got pieces in there about original art and video games and toys, things like that. It's a little comic-centric, you would expect from Overstreet, but it is a phenomenal book. I'm really proud of it. Our assistant editor, Kerry Wood, and our associate editor, Amanda Sheriff, were the real driving forces in it. And, of course, the backbone of it is Bob Overstreet, who has been doing, as of next year, the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide for 50 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's fantastic.
That's great.
That's awesome. And that Batman utility belt, I've been trying to find that.
Well, I can, if you'll allow me to shill for just a minute, a great place to find any kind of older Batman toys is my sister company, Hakes Auctions.
Nice.
They are a phenomenal resource for that. If you ever need a reference, I'll hook you up.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I would
Wonderful.
love that utility belt. And you also brought another treat to the show tonight.
Oh, it is a Feast of the Seven Fishes.
Yes.
Yeah, I got the opportunity. Rosina and I last Wednesday went to the Screen Actors Guild in New York City and saw the premiere screening of Feast of the Seven Fishes. I've been fortunate enough to have been a champion of Bob Tennell's comic strip that he and Alex Saviuk did when it was an online strip, and then arranged for my boss, Steve Jeppe, to write the foreword, saying as this combined comics, Italian food, and Christmas, and family. It just seemed like a thing that Steve would love, and I got him that gig. And they did the hardcover collection of the strip was also half cookbook by Bob's wife Shannon.
Oh wow!
And it was very inventive, and so that was literally about 14 years ago. And Bob came from a Hollywood background, but had been doing graphic novels and literally didn't know that this was going to be one.
Oh wow!
And it's really funny. Every time your baby monitor goes off, I think it's Billy.
I had the volume all the way down. It was still one notch.
But
so
at any rate, I last January, I got to go down and watch the movie being filmed for a few days. I even got to block a shot with Bob Tennell, the director, and Paul Van Victor, who's a guy who a lot of people might not know his name, but the minute they see him, they go, "Oh, I know that guy." Yeah. And that was my first experience doing that, and it was one of those things where when you've really been a champion of the comic strip, which I have, and even documented the movie making process with a bunch of other venues, you still got to hope that the movie's really good.
Yeah.
Right.
And we went last Wednesday, and it was such a delight. And it was everything that you think good small film can be. It's much bigger than it should be. It is. The casting was superb. The chemistry was great. It was a blast. The venue, being a special guest at the Screen Actors Guild, was really cool because we walked in and we had reserved seats, and it was really truly awesome. And then the little ego stroke that we all look for as I was in the special thanks at the end.
Oh, great! Good for you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. When that will be available, that is available on Amazon, right?
That's right, Billy. It's available for it's a limited theatrical release, which is going on right now, and it is available on iTunes and Amazon streaming, and will be available on Blu-ray on, I think, the first week of December or somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And you sent me the trailer, so if you guys don't mind, I'd like to play the trailer for...
oh, that's great. Thank you very much.
All right.
I just don't feel the same.
You know those chicks that went away to college, the ones we never get to see? They're going to be coming out tonight. And they're going to be horny for the holidays.
That old Christmas magic, huh?
First she jingles the bells, then it's away to the manger, and then it's joy to the world,
like
baby.
a Bing Crosby Christmas special.
I don't want to go and get groped by a bunch of uneducated townies, no.
Thank you.
I didn't mean you.
Oh, that's a relief because I hate to be thought of as uneducated.
Beth Claremont, Tony Oliverio.
Hi. Tony, remember this song?
There it is.
Angelo's your best friend?
Cousin. If he wasn't, there's no way I'd hang out with him.
Oh! You don't knock?
In my own house! I put your Nokia on you. It's very bad for you.
Think about the feast on Christmas Eve. In this town, everybody is Italian. Or thinks they are.
What was Joe talking about?
The Feast of the Seven Fishes. It's something we do every Christmas Eve. All the Italians around here do it. We cook fish and we party and it's a blast. She's a really great girl, Juke.
Run the town, Antonio!
Oh, what's the problem?
Do you remember last Christmas Eve? There's a whole lot of people out there who might not appreciate our
idiosyncrasies.
Yeah.
You have been a very good boy, Vince. Frankie, how's them shrimp coming?
I'm almost done cleaning it.
You ain't done yet?
You know, your favorite baby brother was supposed to help.
I turn my back for 1 minute, and you guys screw up Christmas.
I got things to do too. So I do my thing, you'll do your thing, and then I will do the... All right.
Hey, she's gotta go. Yes, she does.
Oh, she don't.
I don't see how.
Thanks for showing that, man.
That looks great. That looks great. Blevins, he's actually watching that right now.
Really?
He's
oh, that's great.
Movie,
Joey Pants, he threw it in the mob seat. What's up, mob seat? Metal movies and brewskis.
Yeah, it's really funny. You know, there's a couple of guys in that film who are sort of ubiquitous in Sopranos and gangster movies and things like that. And everyone, you know, actually, literally everybody that plays a main character in this movie, I think what's so amazing about it to me is that they are all given opportunities to steal the film, and all of them do it.
As gangsters do.
Hey, I want to say that metal movies and brewskis, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's the mob saying it.
Wait, I'm sorry. I think they actually liked. No, maybe it's not. But there was somebody who liked my book who might have been them. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. Maybe I am. Yes, we've got a lot of
metal movies, and Brewski had mentioned their book was really good.
Oh, okay, yeah, I liked it. Yes.
Well, huzzah! Well, speaking of that, if we may, can we visit the SHI, Return of the Warrior, Indiegogo, and Kickstarter pages, Niall?
Oh, that would be good.
Of course,
like to see where we're at with that and see how we did and how we're doing.
Where we're at.
We are now officially 5 days in.
Really? It's only 5 days, huh?
Yep, that's it. 17 days to go, and I just want to see if we can do a tally, see how many backers we have, and where we're at.
Yeah, let me pull it up right here for you.
Where we're at. It's like you don't even have an editor.
Thank you. I need an editor. I have an editor, so what? You know, that's why I have you do that. Just like drawing, and I throw too many commas in all the time, don't I?
No, never. And I'm never sarcastic.
Right.
All right. So you're currently at 500 backers.
500
Kickstarter.
Holy smokes!
500 backers on Kickstarter.
You are just on the cusp of reaching and clearing the 40,000 mark.
Wow. Oh, I think our total backers on Zombie Sama on Kickstarter might have been 440. So we've surpassed that 30-day mark in 5 days.
And you're at 420 backers on Indiegogo. And you are $10 shy of 26,000.
I thought it was SHI.
Come on, guys! Someone put us over that. And I'm so happy.
By the way, during this conversation, Billy Tucci, you were complaining about a certain friend of mine named Dan Madigan. He contributed to the Kickstarter while we've been on this conversation.
So I can no longer call Dan a villain?
You can no longer call Dan a villain.
It would seem inappropriate.
Well, yes. Thank you, Dan, the Irish Gindaloon. And where's Dan from, Harold?
Dan is from Boston, and you would know that within 3 seconds of talking to him. Yeah, he's the hardcore Boston.
Yes. Well, I'm looking forward to arguing with him in the future.
Well, that's wicked cool.
Oh, you will indeed. You will indeed. Oh, that looks beautiful.
And we just released that new for Kickstarter. We just released, because to thank our Kickstarter fans, a new variant cover, which is our Coquette cover. If you scroll back, Niall, there it is. So that's our Coquette edition of SHI Return of the Warrior. And then if you scroll back, scroll down, Niall, you'll see that we're unlocking these stretch goals, and we're closing in on a $70,000 stretch goal. And what's cool about this is that with our No Fan Left Behind campaign, thank you, Niall Scala, for that our campaigns our dueling campaigns are helping each other out. So in the end, everyone wins because they're unlocking the stretch goals for both campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
And I just love the whole sense of community.
Well, so. I think Billy, what we've talked about in the past, and I'm sure you've discussed on the show many times, is that while there certainly is some overlap, that there are different audiences for Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing that Indiegogo came roaring back. Like I said, I was on EVS's show last night, Comic Artist Pro Secrets. And I think we went on, I might have been at 13,000.
You were right around 13.
Yeah. And now, I mean, by the end of that stream, we were over.
You're like 24.
Yeah, 24. So look at this. I mean,
my favorite number.
Thank you to this. There you go. Well done. And there you go to the Centurions out there and the Tucci Troopers and the Crusaders. And now we're closing on 26,000. And as I said earlier, Ethan sent me an email, a text message that he's angry that Indiegogo is lagging behind Kickstarter and he wants to blow them away. So I said, okay.
I think that's the smartest thing you could have said.
Yeah, and he graciously offered to have me on the show. I think with Aaron Lopresti, because Aaron coming on our show tomorrow, right, Niall?
Yeah, yep, he's on tomorrow.
What a great artist.
He really is. He's a great creator.
Artist. Yeah.
Did you guys ever read Sludge when it was Steve Gerber was ostensibly writing it and went through a period of writer's block, and it was really a wonderful book back in the Malibu Ultraverse days, early days of SHI and stuff like that. Aaron was sort of secretly writing it as well, and he was just so good right from the start, man.
He's amazing. He's an amazing creator, and I can't wait to have him on tomorrow. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Is his new thing Garbage Man?
Well, it's not new. He has the rights to it now.
Oh, okay.
So he has the rights to his character, which he created for DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got it back.
Cool. Yeah, he got it back. So now he's running with it.
The spirit of independence is strong in that.
Alive and well.
Yes.
Now, do you have something coming up, JC? Don't you? Do you have another campaign in the works? Or will be coming down the stretch here, or no?
I don't know. I've got definitely something. It's just a question. This is where I'm going to sound like I'm name dropping. Okay, so I'm just going to do it. Mark Haynes and I have been working on a pilot for Roddenberry Entertainment. So I haven't written the new Vampire PA. And I'm dying to, because I've got like 8 pages of it written, and it's been like that for 6 months. But, it's called Al Capone Vampire, which I don't know. I've got to imagine somebody's going to buy that. And we didn't do so well with bedtime stories, and partially because I couldn't be very involved in promoting it, and which was a mistake. We are going to come out with issue 2 of that, but I think that's just going to be a regular comic through American mythology. And then, once we've got a few more things in print for that, then we'll go back and try the trade paperback again, which will be great. Yeah. It really is a great collection of material from a bunch of really good creators. But I've got a couple of other things that I'm not ready to talk about yet. One of which I think may be the single most commercial thing I've ever stumbled into. But we'll save that for when I'm a little closer.
Yes, definitely. Look forward to that. And Steven, do you have anything else coming up as far as beyond once she's complete, your collaboration?
Yeah. Well, I'm working on a 1-hour drama. Again, I will be secretive as JC has been, with a pretty major talent at a studio. It just hasn't been announced yet. So I'm working on a 1-hour drama, a pilot that has a certain amount of has things in common with Stoker and Wells in terms of its. It has its roots in fantasy literature in a contemporary setting. There's also, I have to say, there's sort of right out of the gate, thanks to the LA Weekly Review and other reviews that have piggybacked on it, we've gotten some film and TV, serious film and TV interest, again, from people. Unfortunately, hopefully in a later episode I can name who we're talking about, but some exciting interest on Stoker and Wells as a film property. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things going on right now, and it's as I say, a good time.
I just like to say, having received texts from Steve with some of these names, that it would blow your mind. So that's all. That's all I'll say.
Indeed.
Awesome, man. That's great.
Well, I think we're coming on midnight. Are you there?
We are indeed.
Yes, we are, man.
Yes, and I have my nephew. I think is downstairs waiting to have a drink with me. And
very nice. He's leaving tomorrow, right? This is last night?
Yes, leaving. Yep, early in the morning, flying back to Florida. So I'd like to spend some time with them too. And I just want to thank our guests here, Niall,
yes, of course.
Vaughn, and Stephen Perros. We have lots of great adventures ahead of us. We look forward to, Stephen, if it's okay, for you to be a regular with us. And we give our Crowdfunding Comics fans, and Niall, if we may, kind of take over some shows. To talk about the progress of SHI, because we'd like the people to be involved in this, in the progress, in the creative progress, and just where we are with every step, every few weeks or so, where the book is at.
Absolutely, I'd be thrilled to.
Yeah, definitely, and I'd love to have JC back on some more too, because I may be the brain of the mainframe, but I'll tell you that JC he's the brain of everything. He is one intelligent man.
That explains the fatigue.
All right, my friend.
We need to get him back on too.
Scala, wonderful marathon. 2 shows today, 4 guests.
How many shows now?
We're like if you add all the shows up, I think we're at 81.
Yeah, is that including our atrocious test show and everything else?
No, that's just some of the specials and things we did that we didn't add to the New York. So what do we got? 75 technically. So episodes 75 and 76 will be. So we've got Aaron on tomorrow, and then Meredith Finch on Thursday.
Those are great shows.
Yeah, that'll bring us up to 76. So I mean, I think in January we'll probably hit our 100th episode.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. We got to do something big for that, Scala.
Yeah, and I've got some projects in the works now, too, that should open up, I think, even for some more bigger guests on the show with some of the things that I have in the works right now.
And I would just, in case there are any viewers still hanging on, if anybody who is listening now were to order from Amazon and then shoot an email to stokerandwells@gmail.com. That's all one word, Stoker, and then the word and Wells @gmail.com, and let me know that you ordered. I will make sure personally via Amazon that you receive a signed, an autographed copy of the book for the same price as just a regular old copy on Amazon.
Signed and autographed.
Yeah, signed and autographed at the same time. In my right hand, I sign it. In my left hand, I autograph it. It's very interesting phenomenon. And I also want to show Billy Tucci's variant cover, which because it's a Kickstarter exclusive, I want to respect crowdfunding. It is not something that we sell just yet, but I also just want to show Billy's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. Just such a gorgeous
Thank you,
cover.
Stephen, for that. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, it's just such a beautiful cover. So thank you. I'm the thank you guy, not you, my friend.
Well, I think it's time we bid each other adieu.
I just have one quick question for JC. The Vampire PA books, are those anywhere, or
the main 2 covers, Billy's cover and Ash's, were offered through American Mythology.
Okay.
And they did actually not bad, considering the topography of the comic market right now. It was actually blown away. Had to actually go back to press, which was not expected. And
they're great books. That's why I wanted to get it out there.
And the original trade paperback, which also there's one version that has a Billy cover as well. They are still available from American Mythology, except for the Kickstarter exclusive one, which I do take a handful of those to shows.
Yeah.
But I also try and have them for the people who really supported it.
And then what is it? Black Friday. You guys, Billy, JC.
Oh man, thank you for reminding us.
Yes.
Yeah. Billy, John Brolia, and I will be at the Comic Book Depot, Alan Paprin's great store, in Wantagh, New York, on Black Friday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. and we'll be signing. I'll have comics to sell, and it's a fun store, and he's been in business 25 years.
Yeah.
And Marvel, DC centric kind of store, but he always has us in to show our kind of stuff. And really, it ought to be fun because he's going to be having a big sale at the same time.
Right. 21st anniversary Black Friday sale. So come on down. It's on Long Island, and it's in Nassau County, and we'd love to see you guys.
Yeah, and it's just if you're coming in on Long Island, it's just off the Southern State. Very easy to get to.
Indeed. Yep.
Yeah. I may take a little trip down, hang out with you guys for a little bit.
I think you should, and then maybe we can all go Black Friday shopping for our gals for Halloween.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah. Sure thing.
All right.
On the other hand, there is a pizza place near there.
That's true. We can just have lunch and say we're going shopping for them and just eat pizza. Really good pizza.
Now they can buy the books on American Mythology?
Yeah, I think it's probably, I shouldn't say that they're all on the website. I know some of them are.
Okay.
And we'll have to update that in the near future so I can answer that question better.
All right, sounds good.
Hey, if I may, I just want to make a vote. We have 501 backers. We just had a new backer that made a $150 pledge, and we are now over $40,140 on Kickstarter.
Wow.
And that couples with Indiegogo.
And, yep, there you go.
Where we are, I don't know, Niall, if you had that up, I could pull it up. Let me see Indiegogo.
We're over 26.
You're at 26, over 26.
We're over 26 now.
So you're
over 26 now on Indiegogo?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're now at 66.
66,000, my friend.
Wow.
And just over 5 days.
That's great.
Oh, there it goes. Wait a minute. Oh, there he goes. He just updated it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Oh, thank you, guys.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Niall. Thank you, everyone.
That's some incredible fans, man.
Yeah, we're going, man. People are saying you should never solicit. Have a campaign in November, and I wouldn't argue for that.
But that's why you made it shorter, though, right?
Yes, we made it. It's only 21 days, and that's why we have 17 days left because we want to get them out. And the quicker we get this campaign ended, the quicker we get those books out to everyone.
Beautiful.
So thank you guys, each and every one of you, from all of us, right? At Team SHI.
Team SHI.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And with that note, I'm going to go to bed.
All right, sounds good. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And again, you'll be seeing more JC and Steven on the show in some upcoming episodes. And tomorrow night, please join us. We've got a great lineup of guests for the rest of the week with Aaron. How do you pronounce the last name?
Lopresti.
And Meredith Finch on Thursday. Sorry, it is midnight.
I thought you were Italian, Scala.
I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm sick. I've been sucking on these cough drops all night. But again, it was fun chatting with you guys as always. So everyone, thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Niall.
Thank you,
Good night,
gentlemen.
guys. See you guys later. Thanks, Niall, for putting all this together. I know that you're running around like a crazy person.
Oh, anything for you, buddy. Anything for you guys.
Oh, look at that. Right. Beautiful, man. All right, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into Crowdfunding Comics. We look forward to hanging out with all of our crowdfunding fans every time we go live. And don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel. And there's a little bell. You may want to hit that too. This way you get all the great notifications when we go live and when we upload some awesome content. You want to follow us? Sure, go right ahead at Twitter at CrowdFundComics with an X, Instagram, Crowdfunding Comics, and Facebook at Crowdfunding Comics. Till next time, crowdfunding fans, we'll see you soon.